Welcome back. The holidays are over and kids are back at school, at sport practice, and carrying those really heavy backpacks. What toll is that taking on their little bodies, and is there anything we can do to help?
So here with some exercises and massage techniques to help kids feel a little bit more comfortable, chiropractor Sapna Shriram is back, and Happy New Year to you. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me back.
So Sapna, a lot of us think, okay, take care of our bodies, we're adults, but how can massages and stretching help kids?
Well, their bodies go through the same things that we do. So they also experience aches and pains, soreness, overtraining. So we really need to ensure that we're doing things to help them with their range of motion, with helping them with their movement patterns, and just in general, staying away from injuries.
Yeah, I mean, some parents I feel like might be a little bit nervous taking on this themselves. So how safe is it for us to do some of these techniques on our kids?
Well, I'll show you some stuff, but kids are more resilient than we think. And I think it's really important for us to realize that we're putting them through a lot of overstraining and a lot of overtraining. So the more that we can do will help them recover. And remember, kids do recover really quickly, but the more tools that we can give them, they'll be back into their next activity the next day a lot happier.
You know, talking about it is one thing, but why don't we do some? So we're gonna head over to the middle, and you've got a very special little helper here today. It's your own daughter, Sana, who's 8 years old.
Hello,
Sana. Welcome to the show. So listen, we're gonna start with this. Kids carry big, heavy backpacks sometimes. So let's start with something that's going to help specifically for that.
Right, okay, well, I love, Sana, do we wanna show everyone the butterfly? Okay, so let's show the butterfly. So this is the one where we put our hands behind our back. So it's important because we're carrying things that put a lot of strain on our front neck muscles and our shoulders. We want to do things that are going to open up the posterior chain. These are great tools that we can do to really encourage our kids to really work on not only stretching the front, but strengthening through the back.
Would you help her? Would you give her a little?
Yeah, they can even do this sitting over
okay.
against the back of a chair. They can use a door wall. And then the hummingbird. Sana, remember the hummingbird exercise? This is another great exercise we can do to really activate muscles behind the back. These are things that we ignore as kids, and it's also just a great way to get some movement going when they've been carrying a lot of things that are pulling them forward.
Okay, like how often are we doing the butterfly?
You know what, we can do this for 30 seconds, just while they're prepping a snack. Just get them to do it. It's an easy way for them to fit it in.
Okay.
I love it. Okay. I remember when I was doing dance, even as a kid, we had to do stretching at the beginning, and I was always like, it's so boring. So I think it's important for the kids to have buy-in and know why they're doing it. And a lot of kids are into sports at a very young age, and they're doing all these practices can lead to really tired leg and body muscles. So how can we help them?
Sure. Kids are always complaining about that stuff. And so let's actually start with the downward dog, Sana. So we can incorporate some movements like using yoga. Downward dogs and other stretches that we're gonna show are so important because it's gonna help our kids feel that movement, that flexibility. We wanna show everyone, we call it a child's pose, but we're gonna call it a baby's pose today. So do we wanna do the baby pose?
Very good. Very good. Pose,
we love it. And you know what? And let's do the cobra or the snake pose as well.
Oh, yes.
And these stretches and exercises are great. You can either do it with them, or you can actually just encourage them to do this, especially maybe on their inactive days, or if you find that they're not getting enough time to do a warm-up or a cool-down. Getting them to incorporate this is a great way to get their little stretches and movements going and make them feel a bit better.
I know, like, listen, I do a lot of yoga, and Marqueza joins me as well. Is there such a thing as, like, too much stretching? Like, is there such a thing?
You know what? I think that we shouldn't overstress it, but just like our kids are sometimes doing like 10 to 15 hours a week of one sport.
Yeah.
Incorporating a couple of minutes a day is not gonna add any overstretching harm to our kids, especially at this age.
Yeah. Now, age, speaking of which, our daughters are the exact same age. Marqueza is also 8 years old, and her dad is 6'3". And you know what's going on in our house besides my husband snoring?
Growing pains.
My daughter is waking up in the middle of the night crying with growing pains.
She hasn't started that yet. But yeah, why don't we pop up on the table, Sana? So growing pains are a real thing. It's because our bones are growing at a faster rate than our muscles, and they get tight. And so it's really important to really ensure that, if there's anything you can do with them, first of all, ask them. So Sana, is it okay if I show some techniques that you like? Great. So kids really go through a lot of soreness with their legs and their hips. And we're not the experts at home, we're their parents. But think of it, if you're even giving your partner a massage, treat it the same way with your kids. If it feels good, keep doing it. If they don't like it, back away. But if it gives them a little bit of relief, they're gonna be really happy. And
so what are you doing here? Are you just like wherever she would say is hurting, this is
so you know what, you can use some pushing techniques. You can also even just, I always say you can use the pressure of what you would imagine if you're denting a tomato up towards denting an orange. About that much pressure is enough. And a lot of the times they'll wince. She'll tell me herself when she doesn't like something or when she does. Do you like this? Yeah.
Sana says yes.
Sana is okay with it. And, you know, I always say, you know, you can just basically be like coach at home. We're already coaches all the time when we go watch them at their meets and their games. So why not take that title into the house and treat them a little bit at home with some TLC?
Okay, lastly, I think a lot of parents have kids who have trouble falling asleep. Is there a massage we could do that will help the little ones both fall asleep and maybe stay asleep?
Staying asleep. Well, they're so overactive when they come home, and a lot of the times they just get off the field and they run home, shower, and quickly get ready for bed. So, you know, again, if you remember, you know, we would always do baby massages. Kids like massages too, even preteens and teens, guys. So don't let them fool you. If you start doing this and they like it, I find, especially after a bath, get your favorite lotion or oil and just start, you know, giving them a little bit of that TLC through their back. Same idea, guys. It doesn't have to be professional. You're not the expert. That's not your job, but your job is there just to give them a bit of relief, and I promise you, they will fall asleep. My kids fight me for this every night.
Sure they do.
Who's gonna get a massage from mom today?
No kidding. If you were my mom, I'd be in there in line too, for sure. Sapna and Sana, thank you. This was so informative. Thank you. So good. I feel like I need to stretch now. Okay, we'll be back right after this.
Hey there. Wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.